With its ability to handle both asset collection and survey-grade data collection in a single, compact, highly efficient system, the Leica Pegasus mobile mapping solution has had a big impact on the market. But even more impact has been derived from these firms who are using the technology every day to add value to their clients' projects with mobile mapping. Here with me today to talk about those trends are Obadiah Ford of Rice Associates, Stephen Ellis of Langen, and Doug Brindley of Botic Solutions. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Christine.
Obadiah, I'd like to start with you. Rice Associates was actually one of the first firms in the United States to invest in the Pegasus mobile mapping system when it was first released. How has this affected your firm's ability to serve your clients?
Well, two things come to mind. First, it's expanded our client base. We've gotten a lot of new GIS projects that we're chasing after, and so we've branched out into the GIS realm, which previously we had not taken part in. So that's one way. Another way is teaming opportunities. We've secured over 24 contracts in the last year and a half, largely because of our mobile mapping system, some of them solely because of our mobile mapping system.
Have you found that the Pegasus solution makes you approach survey projects any differently, and if so, in what way?
Yes, I feel that's a different mindset whenever you're scoping a job. To be able to plan accordingly for the obscured areas that you might have on the project, to be able to cover those. The data set is comprehensive, however, there are things that can affect the data that you collect. So you need to know those up front, and you need to plan for those accordingly so that you can realize the benefits for the schedule and the cost. You don't have to return to the field to pick up things you didn't intend to pick up.
That makes sense. Now, Stephen, Langen has had the Pegasus solution for about 6 months now. I know that you've talked a lot about being able to use the data in multi-purpose ways across an organization, kind of showing clients how to leverage and access that data set. Can you give some examples of how you guys are doing that?
Yes, thank you. At Langen, we're a traditional engineering, architectural survey, mapping, scan to BIM firm. So most of our client base are on the survey grade kind of mapping, CAD, scan to BIM stuff. And as Obi pointed out, the Pegasus opens up the ability to multitask data. So our motto is scan it once, as accurate as you can, and use it for many ways. So we're doing projects within New York City where we're scanning, going to CAD mapping through Cyclone and doing really high level, detailed, accurate 3D mapping. But we also have the ability then to reuse that data. So other departments within New York City can use the data for sign inventories and for pavement markings and for curb cut ramps. The Pegasus data in its natural format, in its relative accuracy between the points, allows you to do a lot of things with that data once you have it in the can, so to speak.
Well, that makes the data so much more valuable then, doesn't it?
Yes, because you pay for the collection and the processing of the data one time, and multiple agencies or multiple departments can use that data. So it's a cost sharing. So it makes it cheaper to budget for these kind of projects, so it makes the use of mobile mapping technology so much more affordable.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Now, Langen recently upgraded to the Pegasus 2, which is the newest, the latest and greatest Pegasus solution. How is that going to allow you to expand the services that you're providing to your clients?
Well, the P2 has some inherent new enhancements for external clients as well as for internal processing. So we value it both ways. The P2 has additional cameras. It's got a spherical camera which goes up. So now when you're collecting tunnels or you're collecting highways where you're going under a lot of underpasses, now you have a camera that you can capture the undersides of structures, or a full tunnel. You can capture everything with that other camera. So that provides a lot more opportunities to deliver data and use it from a client perspective. It also has an 8th camera that comes off the back on a 45, so you can do rutting and cracking and more pavement analysis. So that opens up a whole nother path of data usage for our clients. But internally, we like its ability because it's a faster processor, larger hard drive. The cameras have an auto light sensor, so the operator doesn't have to always be hitting the contrast to increase things or decrease the lighting. So there's a lot of benefits from it just from using, and Leica's put a lot of time into the second version of its mobile mapping system.
Sure. Well, it certainly sounds like it makes it easier for you as a firm to add value to the data set that you're providing to your clients.
And another thing is it's got the ability to plug multiple sensors in. You can put a thermal sensor in it for hotspot mapping. You can connect a sign retroreflectivity sensor in for when you're doing sign surveys. You can capture that reflectivity, which is a federal standard now as well.
That's very interesting. I've been eager to see what you guys do with that.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that you're doing mostly roadway surveys with the Pegasus solution?
We're doing it across the board. We've done campus mapping, we've done city streets for design, we've done highway corridors. So we're kind of using it in a lot of different. We were up in upstate New York, collecting utility information, poles and transformers and lines for a utility. So we're using it across the board. It's really opened us up to a lot more revenue.
Sure. And Obadiah, what about for Rice Associates? What kinds of applications are you guys dealing with primarily?
We do a lot of surveying and mapping on the ground, traditional kind of projects, but we also, like I said, have branched out into the GIS data collection, so going after the network level data collection, the sign inventory and assessment, pavement data collection, inventory and assessment. So those type of projects are not beyond the realm of what we can do. And we're always looking for new ways to use scanning. As with static scanning technology, we're always, with the mobile as well, looking for new ways to use it, because there's always a new idea that somebody comes up with, something else that they can use it for, something else they can collect with it. So it's very interesting. And being a sensor platform for P2, that is a very powerful capability as well. So
absolutely. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the new uses. I know, Doug, the company that you're involved with, you won the Pegasus contest last year for creative thinkers and coming up with an idea for how to apply the Pegasus technology. You guys have recently started working with the system. What are your first impressions?
Well, our first impressions, Christine, were that true to form on innovation, Hexagon and Leica Geosystems have really produced a game changer in this product. It's more than an evolution of the pieces. I would say that really there are three aspects of it that are very important for us, and we first recognize that on the hardware side that Leica has really met our expectations in terms of the build quality of the system. And of course, it being a Hexagon product, the software is critical to the functioning of it with the aspirations of what we have for the industry. And then finally, the relationships that we've come to build and rely on have been really important as we tackle a pretty significant product and its potential.
Sure, that makes sense. Well, the project that you guys are doing is actually called 32, and there's a reason behind that name. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are looking to achieve there?
Sure. As we thought about telling the story of a creative exploration of Pegasus 2, we knew that for one, our industry is not a static one, it is a dynamic one, and we're constantly looking for new ideas, and those responses feed the future. So we looked at it from a very ambitious point of view. We thought that we needed to first of all impress the judges of the contest with our aspiration, and we thought, well, why not reach everything why not reach very high? And so what we thought was that a sensor integration exploration was very important. Since then, we've learned all sorts of things that have been very helpful with the software and learning what kind of outputs we can achieve from the system as it ships, and also exploring the accessories that that Leica Geosystems has provided with Pegasus. For example, the wheel transducer kit and its applications, and also the vertical camera. That vertical orientation camera is very helpful too. All those products came together for us to be able to tell 32 stories, not one story of creativity, and that's what we're working on.
So you're working very closely with David Evans and Associates. I understand they were part of this project initially and will be working very closely with you to actually gather these stories. What kinds of stories are you looking for here?
Yeah, well, to give an idea of the range of projects that we're talking about, we thought that one of the most important things that we could do is put Pegasus in unusual circumstances. For example, how is it that we can map a high-rise, and how can Pegasus be adapted, and how can it be used in an application like that? Because clearly the workflow that's necessary to get the system to in its positional accuracy requires movement in a way that does not involve carrying up the side of a building face. So working with David Evans and Associates, doing projects like that one where we can prove theories, test concepts, and then integrate those. That's what we've been able to achieve with David Evans. They've been very creative, and having been a pioneer in this side of the industry about mobile mapping, we couldn't be more pleased. It's a great partnership.
It'll be really interesting to see where you guys take it. With all of the experience that you guys have here, where do you see things going with mobile mapping? It's still a relatively young industry, and I'm sure there's a lot of growth potential. What do you see as the biggest growth areas, and what do you think will be driving that?
From my perspective, it's just integrating it into traditional processes. It's a collection methodology that is becoming feasible for all projects. We're doing a lot of, like Bryce is doing, traditional survey mapping work, but we're using the Pegasus to do the roadway parts of it instead of closing lanes down and putting people in harm's way with traffic control. It's a lot faster, it's a lot more economical, and provides that ability. Traditionally, in my thought is that mobile mapping has always was a transportation kind of based solution, because it's really well affords it for that purpose. But now we're seeing requests to use it for a lot of other purposes, tunnels and campus mapping and just utility stuff and doing different things. So it's the technology with the hardware and the software and the tools to use the data are making it more user-friendly and affordable to use it as a standard platform.
Absolutely. What about you?
I see it as I see a convergence coming between many technologies, I think, down the road, because you can think of mobile LiDAR as being a surveying and mapping solution only, or you can realize that there's an industry out there there's many industries that are using it for many different things. Television industry, the car industry, the vehicle automation. So mobile LiDAR is definitely here to stay, and I think what we're going to see is a convergence between many different industries, many different technologies converging to produce solutions, especially on the transportation side, for the next generation. Because data and how we use data is a big deal right now. And there's so much of it out there, people are trying to get their hands around what is the best way to use it. So I think the more data we collect, the more we'll see convergence of different technologies. The hardware is moving at a rapid pace as far as development. The software is moving at a rapid pace. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Pegasus 3 be something that's even more mobile than Pegasus 2 is today.
Smaller, compactor, a lot more different platforms to put it on, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, with everyone asking that question of what else can we do with it, I'm sure that one of the things we'll see is each new innovation will get the wheels turning and maybe promote additional innovation as well, as those things typically go with technology.
That's what makes a conference like this so valuable. You bring the users together, they have a bunch of different experiences and ideas, and how best can we use them for tomorrow?
Sure. And Doug, what about from your perspective? I mean, you're just now getting your feet wet with the Pegasus solution, but where do you see things going?
This is a very exciting time. When we unpacked the system as it was shipped to us and started looking at this, we started to realize that this is a tool that has a potential that is basically the beginning of the CAD era for mapping. And what does that mean for projects? Well, being an architect myself, I see applications in this that, first of all, the economics are superb. What we've seen is it takes a level of competence on the service provider to take in a system like this and to make it a business proposition. But then going further, the productivity rate that we're seeing being able to achieve on it is outstanding. So I think what it will do is eventually it will become something other than an infrastructure solution. It will become a project solution.
Well, it's very exciting to see how innovative thinkers are applying technology and creating more value for clients. I think it's only going to continue. I look forward to seeing what you guys do with it. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
For HXGN TV, I'm Christine Grail with Leica Geosystems. Thanks for watching.